Hey, scholars. Sorry I couldn't be in the studio today. I'm out of town. We're going to follow this video along just to kind of get us set up for success. You should have just completed your entrance ticket on Illuminate. Have turned that in. Remember, if you do not turn it in, you do not receive credit. There'll be an M for missing or a 0. So please turn it in. Okay, let's talk about what's going on in the studio today. Beginning with the goal in mind. The end goal in mind is always important. Let me move my video out of the way. There we go. All right, so today's goal in the studio, scholars are going to be able to commit to both the animal side and the human side of that hybrid identity portrait so you can express your identity. This is like step 1 or 2 of 5 multimedia steps and processes. We started this yesterday of sketching out the animal side, maybe even starting to commit with Sharpie on all of those little patterns and textures, just like Tamaya's example right here. She's in high school now. She did such a great job on that. So what do you have to do for today? Well, the CFS criteria for success to help you reach that goal, committing with ink, is please just work the compass with integrity. Be your best self. Follow those routines. When you're working asynchronously, that means you're working independently at a zone 0. All the materials are on your tray. Kindly put them back when you're done. If you need to share, there's absolutely no reason to be chatting with your neighbor, because if you're chatting, you're wasting time and you're not going to be able to be productive. You need to be productive today because it is the last day with Sharpie pen. Optimize it. We got to make sure we're still using our seeing skills. That means we're looking for any outlines, contours, or like shadow shape areas to commit to, so we can complete all of the animal portions of your self-portrait, but also the human side of your self-portrait, because a lot of you want to refine some of those outlines and contours from your monoprint. Make sure that you trace it with Sharpie. Okay, also, again, the big thing during studio time after you're done watching this video is use that Sharpie to add more fine line textures or just refine any craftsmanship concerns from your monoprint. I just said that. It's all about the Sharpie today. Your grade for today, even though it's not an integrity check, I still want you to make sure that you're being as productive as possible. You hit that step of finishing everything with Sharpie, because again, we're not going to use Sharpies anymore with this project. We're switching it to a different medium next week. So your entrance ticket was your grade. So turn it in. All right, here's some cool examples. I love looking at exemplary pieces just to kind of like motivate me to raise the bar on my own work. So we have Wren's bat portrait. And then this is a Voyager student, but I really love some things about their work as well. So let's start with Wren. Think to yourself just silently, why does this look good? Why do all these marks look good? What makes Wren's work exemplary or successful? Just think. So maybe you were just like, I like how I see like solid gray and solid black areas, solid white areas. We'll get to that all next week, but I want you really to focus in on, and I hope you thought the same thing, was Wren's use of line. Look at all of these straight lines. Some of them are kind of zigzag. And all of these lines really close together, kind of clustered together like that, create such an awesome texture of their hair. Look how the lines go in different directions just to show the texture of the hair. They used a pen for that. So good. So good. Also, if you look really closely, they created some value shading with a process called hatching, which is taking the pen and just putting a couple lines side by side to make it look like there's a little bit of a shadow there. That's a really cool illustration technique that a lot of comic book artists use. You can see that she did that in the wings. And then I just love their use of these jagged lines. It creates such like a little cute fuzzy texture on these bats. That's what I'm talking about. Lines create texture. Even smooth textures of the skin versus the fuzzy texture of the bat bodies. Contrast, differences, makes things interesting. All right, so let's look at this Voyager example. I'm sorry, I do not know the artist's name to give them credit, but what are we loving about their work? Again, maybe you're like, it looks realistic because there's light and dark shadows just like in real life. We'll do all that stuff next week. We'll get to it. Focusing on the line use, the texture use. Now, this artist kept some of their multimedia stuff pencil. Totally an option if you want to do that. I think we're going to try to commit with everything with ink, but talk to me about it. I'm loving the texture of these jagged lines. These jagged lines, as you can see, represent the cracks in the wall. And my favorite part is how the cracks start creeping into the portrait. Just like our animal patterns or different parts of the animal's face or ears or whatever start like creeping in to like where our human side is at. Cute, right? Very cute. Look like Post Malone with face tattoos. We want to try to do that as well. So the idea is we're unifying, you can do that through lines and textures, unifying the human side and the animal side. Beautiful use of texture. That jagged line. Mwah, beautiful. Okay, so now that you've seen some successful examples, let's review what we did yesterday, but also what do we need to make sure that we stamp today, just so you're super clear how I got to the next step in this multimedia process. I hope that you guys can hear the video okay. Fingers crossed. Let's watch. Time to incorporate our animal. We got Mama Bear with the claws ripping through. We're going to be using Sharpie to add that texture and value. Here's the process. Go back and reference what you sketched and start planning out. Maybe you draw right on your monoprint, or you can get a separate sheet of paper like I have here and collage it on. Please open the scissors the whole way. Cut with the inner part of the scissors. What I did is I just cut out the contour. Now, where are you going to add this animal? I like the collage part because you can play around with the composition here. And then when you're ready, use that rubber cement, scrape off the extra, brush on a little bit, just a little bit of that rubber cement, and then you'll wiggle that collaged piece of paper in place until it is stuck. Multimedia at its finest. Want to refine the textures of your portrait with lines? Grab a Sharpie, draw those lines. Draw the lines, draw the lines. There's probably missing spots in your monoprint. So, yep, sketch them on, I'm guessing, yesterday. Commit with Sharpie. It's going to clean up that craftsmanship. All right, y'all, so rest of class, you're applying your animal, you're committing to the human side, you're covering all pencil, you're creating a representational self-portrait. Why are we doing this? We're expressing parts of our identity. So every mark we make needs to be purposeful. You have the remainder of class at a zone 0. Be productive. Don't talk. Work. Okay? Work. Finish committing and refining all of those lines and textures to all parts of your hybrid portrait. So we're talking about the human side. We're talking about the animal side. All pen work needs to be finished today because it is the last day with our Sharpie medium. We're moving on to more paintbrush work next week. If you are done early, you have sketchbooks. You have sketchbooks, and I'm guessing you didn't get done with all the fun Sharpie things. I know I didn't. So if for some reason you do get done early, you have something to do that is silent and that is productive. Have fun with your sketchbooks. I'm just not going to get the white pens out. It's just going to keep the black Sharpies on your tray. All right. So again, just to stamp, make sure that you guys see this. If you're not getting it, let's pull up my stuff. I got lots of stuff here. Okay. You may have only got to sketch out all of the animal parts of your work. Maybe you didn't even get it collaged on yesterday. Totally cool. Today is a makeup day. First things first, Sharpies. Lid on the back. Take care of my stuff. I'm not here to look after you, so please show integrity, look after yourself. Do the kind and decent thing. We want to see texture. So not probably a lot of like super straight lines. I want a fuzzy texture. I'm going to use jagged lines. So for my little cheetah prints, notice I'm not scribbling. I'm still kind of like controlled, right? I'm controlled with these marks, even though they're jagged. Oh, that one's kind of cool. Kind of like that. All right, every once in a while, I like to kind of take a look back, get up close, see how everything's looking. That's pretty good to me. Can erase any of those pencil lines. If you're cutting things out, open your scissors. Where's it at? There it is. Sorry. Open your scissors the whole way and just kind of cut around the contour or the edge of the area that you're gluing on. It doesn't have to be right on the line, but pretty dang close. Please put your mess in a little trash pile over here. And with the glue, if your glue, there it is. If your glue is looking all gloopy, like it has a cold, like that, right? Yuck. Make sure that you scrape all that extra off. Glue on the back. There it is. Glue on the back. Just a little bit, Wherever you're setting it, give it a wiggle, 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 wiggle. That's going to squish all of that glue out and make it nice and even. The second thing that you're doing, I don't have an example with me right now, but like, let's say you have like your eye that you had to draw on, something like that. Like you have your eye, but you really want this like really crisp line and your monoprint didn't turn out as crisp as you want. You can refine it. Just go back to that Sharpie, trace that line, add eyelashes, add whiskers, whatever you're feeling. I had to go back on my example and add a couple more of those little texture lines with the Sharpie because the monoprint didn't show up. Okay? You'll do that on your example. Okay, kids. Finish committing with Sharpie. Cover everything with pencil, cover everything with Sharpie. Cover your pencil with Sharpie. So all of these little eyelashes, all these little eyebrows, these little lines of the antennas, these little hatch marks. Oh, can't even see it down here on Della's work. Even a couple of these little fluffy texture lines that this artist drew in. She did a lot of painting, but she drew some of that in with ink. I can tell what's done with pen and Sharpie. Commit to that today. All right? Be good. Be productive. Have fun. And I'll see you next week for India ink and watercolor. Good times.